Ladies and gentlemen, Juan and I are delighted to be back with the Khmer community. It's been many years, many years. Life goes on and we get involved with other things, but my own involvement and my dad's involvement with Cambodia goes back a long time, and several things. I don't want to take too much time because we want to hear about the schools and there's going to be music, and you don't need too long a speech. But we came out here to Minnesota in 1981 with the first sort of early group. And so as I remember, there was with Lar Munstock setting up UCAM, Meng Krui, some of you may remember Meng Krui, and he died, I think, of cancer. It was very sad because he worked so hard for the Khmer people back then. And I remember Yanat Chit and his wife, and we haven't seen them in a long time. And in our old house, so Juan ran into Cambodian lady, Sui Him. Some of you may remember her, and she had a daughter, so they rented a place from us, so we sort of had some involvement with the Khmer community back in the 1980s. And Juan went down to talk to the people in Farmington, the city council, when the community wanted that piece of land where the temple is. And one of the questions I think was, Buddhism is a weird religion. And I said, what do you know about Buddhism? They don't know anything about Buddhism. Well, Buddhism is a very peaceful religion. It's about meditation. It's about a quiet heart. And then the community has done such a marvelous job of building a remarkable facility. Lots of money, lots of effort, lots of pride. So that was, I think, a real contribution to Minnesota. Very briefly, because before I say something about this facility, just to let you know, our family's involvement with the Khmer people in Cambodia. So it began in 1954 when my father represented the U.S. State Department at the Geneva Conference and became quite well known to Samdech Sihanouk, and worked very closely with Samdech Sihanouk and others, Son Sann at that time, to give Cambodia real independence, separate from the French colonialists, and not subject to the communists. And then Dad was ambassador to Thailand, and then he ran the Asia Society. I first went to Cambodia in 1962. So I think I've been to Angkor Wat like 5 times. And had a great feeling for Angkor and the heritage of Angkor and the Khmer people. During the war with the communists, I fought in Vietnam. So my wife, we met in Washington, D.C., but she's Vietnamese. After the war, I followed what was happening under Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. And in 1978, I was with a group organized by another American, Leo Chern. And well, in 75 for the Vietnamese, I started the refugee movement for all the people from Vietnam. But in 75, the refugee movement was only from Vietnam. Not from Cambodia, not from Laos. I think the Americans took out, I was once told, took out from Phnom Penh 17 families. Everybody else was left. So in 1978, there was another group and another committee, and we went to the refugee camps in Southeast Asia. And I went to the 2 Khmer refugee camps, one in Surin province, I think, and then the other Chanthaburi right up against the border. And then we went back and worked with the Carter administration to start the refugee movement. So when the Vietnamese invaded Cambodia and overthrew the Khmer Rouge in '79, and many Khmer fled to Thailand, the Americans were willing to take the Khmer and other countries. So my guess is that most of you or your families, the first Khmer here came over 79, 80, 81, that refugee movement, which is what we were involved with. And then later on, I was very concerned as the war continued with the Chinese supporting Pol Pot and the Vietnamese supporting Heng Samrin and Hun Sen. And the Chinese and the Vietnamese were fighting, but it was the Cambodians who were being killed. So some kind of compromise was needed. So I worked with some friends suggesting that the United Nations should come into Cambodia and push the Chinese out one side and the Vietnamese out the other side, so that Cambodia would be for the Khmer people, and no more war and no more fighting. So that happened, which was a good thing. My own personal disappointment, and I'm speaking about politics, is that under the UN administration, Hun Sen and his group were able to keep control of the Defense Department, the military, and the police. And that allowed him to create a political movement which is still in power today. So with that explanation of our care for the Khmer, our involvement in Cambodia, I was very happy when Kosal got back in touch. Because as I said, Juan and I, we've been working with all kinds of things, and you know, we've lost touch with the Khmer community. And when I saw this center, when I came here, I thought, this is very important. It's important to America. It's important to the Khmer in Minnesota. It's important to all the Khmer in America. Because if you have a cultural center, if you have a museum, if you teach young people, if you teach Americans, non-Khmer, about the history of Angkor, the Buddhist religion, all these things, this is a way of not just preserving, but showing that the Khmer people have an ability to stand up after some very, very bad years. And so we've given the museum a few things. For my dad, like the head of the dancer, which is over there, my father actually got that in Cambodia in 1937. It was a long time ago. And the little elephant on the second tier there, that's one I got in Siem Reap, and I think that comes from about 1200. So that's about 800 years old, and Khmer, I mean, genuine Khmer, not a modern fake. And then the silver thing, the rice, the whole rice, is something that the Khmer gave, somebody gave my father, not Sihanouk, but somebody gave my father in like 1961. And then this is a rubbing my dad got in Siem Reap in 1958. So this is from Angkor Wat, and this is, let's see, it's upside down. So this is the story in the Ramayana. The Thais call it the Ramakien, and this is Hanuman fighting against the evil forces. And Hanuman is the Monkey King, who's on the side of Rama, who's the good guy. So this is an old rubbing. And I understand now you cannot make rubbings in Angkor Wat anymore, because the more rubbings you make, it defaces the stone. So this is like from 1958, and it's very rare. So it was, we didn't really have a place for it, and so I thought it'd be much better for the Khmer community to have access for something that the ancestors of the Khmer made. Angkor, what, about 1100, something like that, when that stone was carved. So I would just want to encourage all the members of the community here and around the country to support this kind of a cultural center and a museum with whatever things you can get from your family. You can donate. You can donate money to help the group get more. You can talk to Khmer all around. I mean, I don't know how many cultural centers there are in America, but I think the Khmer community in America ought to get behind a cultural center and a museum. And then you can use that for the younger generation. You can use that for the non-Khmer, to tell them about the history of Cambodia, about Angkor, and things like that. And if you have a cultural center here, you can do things like tonight with someone from Cambodia. You can bring artists, you can bring dancers, you can bring historians, you can bring Khmer who know about the culture and history to Minnesota to educate. And it's not that hard to do these days. You just get an airplane ticket. 24 hours, you leave Phnom Penh, you arrive in St. Paul. And there you are. Then you can contribute to something. I would also urge the community to think about all the things you can do for the older generation. Very, very important to do videotapes of their experiences. What were their memories before the Khmer Rouge, during the Khmer Rouge, after the Khmer Rouge? Videotape that. Keep records. Get younger people to write, if they speak in Khmer, just videotape that in Khmer. Get younger people to write it down in English. You can publish that. You can educate people. You can, from here on out, everybody will know the moral strength, the psychological strength of the Khmer people. It's easy to do. You can do it here. You can bring all different kinds of Cambodians together around this, around the history and meaning of the Khmer people, and prepare for a better future. So I want to express my thanks to Kosal and his team who have put this together, the custodians who are here, and wish them all the best of luck. I am here to help them as much as I can, and I hope to see all of you again. So thank you very much.